As the Packers' 2022 season came to an end last night in a win-in, get-in situation versus the Detroit Lions in Week 18, now their focus turns to the offseason. And that focus is primarily on Aaron Rodgers and whether or not he will return to the green and gold for his 19th season in the NFL, where he would be turning 40 years old. The Packers have already went through this the past couple of off seasons with endless trade rumors and whether or not they'll end up moving on from the four-time MVP quarterback. But last offseason in March, the Green Bay Packers quickly stopped all talks of the Packers potentially moving on from Aaron Rodgers, signing him to a 3-year, $150 million contract extension with over $100 million fully guaranteed, tying him to the Packers through the 2024 season. And now all the talk for this 2023 offseason is whether or not Aaron Rodgers will retire, the Packers will trade him, or if they will cut him. And cutting is just not a possibility at this point, which we'll get into here in this video. In a very disappointing 8-9 season where the Packers missed the playoffs for the first time since 2018 and missed them for the first time under head coach Matt LaFleur, where Aaron Rodgers had one of his worst seasons as a pro, he could simply decide to hang up the cleats for good. After Sunday's loss, Rodgers had this to say about potentially walking away from the game. At some point, the carousel comes to a stop and it's time to get off. And I think you kind of know when that is. And that's what needs to be contemplated. Is it time? Also, what's the organization doing? That's part of it as well. But the competitive fire is always going to be there. I don't think that ever goes away. Sometimes it gets transferred, I think, to other things that might not ever fill that large void. But like I said, I feel good about what I've accomplished in this league and wouldn't have any regrets walking away. But I got to see what it feels like once I get away from this. Giving no real answer on what Aaron Rodgers may decide if he were to retire or come back for the 2023 season, the fact is, us fans probably won't know Aaron Rodgers' decision for the next couple of months. Do I feel like I have anything left to prove to myself? Rodgers said. Do I want to go back and gear up for another grind? Or is it time? Is it time to step away? Is it time for another voice to be leading this team? Now I want to dive down into the logistics of Aaron Rodgers' contract and what would happen if Aaron Rodgers were to decide to retire this year. But before we look into Aaron Rodgers' contract, I want to thank Aura for sponsoring today's video. I'm sure just like myself, you guys have received endless amounts of spam phone calls over the past year. It seems like every single day I was receiving upwards of 3 to 4 spam phone calls, and there's nothing I could do to stop it. And just like Aaron Rodgers potentially hanging up the cleats, I was constantly hanging up my cell phone. Aura is an easy-to-use app that includes everything you need to stay safe online. Aura protects you from scammers and hackers from the so-called dark web, where criminals sell stolen information looking for your passwords, your emails, and your social security number. And Aura alerts you fast if it finds anything. Since signing up and using Aura, we can see here on my own account, there has been multiple times where an email address or a password has been found in a data breach on the dark web. And if we also see here on the data broker section, Aura has already started to opt out of all these data brokers, removing my information from these websites, which end up selling your information to these hackers and scammers, which ends up being these endless spam phone calls I was talking about earlier. Since using Aura, I have rarely received a spam phone call when, like I said earlier, I was getting upwards of 3 to 4 a day. Aura gives you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries, like if someone was opening a loan or credit card in your name. Aura also includes a VPN, which allows you to stay anonymous online by keeping your browsing history and personal information safe and encrypted. And they protect your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and more so the bad guys can't break in. Aura even helps you manage what your kids can do on their devices. You can restrict specific apps, set screen time limits, and even focus times to ensure your child is doing their homework instead of binging YouTube. And their password manager lets you store and access your online passwords securely and conveniently. Now, you may have an app that does one of these things, but with Aura, you don't have to download and pay for 7 different apps. Let Aura do all the hard work of keeping you safe online. Signing up today with my link will give you a free 2-week trial. And you guys will be shocked at how much private information Aura finds exposed over that 2-week period. Go to aura.com/Basaraski to start your free trial today. That'll be down in the description. You can also scan the QR code right above. So looking at Aaron Rodgers' contract, you may ask yourself, what would happen if Aaron Rodgers were to decide to retire? So right now, the cap hit in 2023 for Aaron Rodgers, if he does indeed play, would be $31,623,570, or 13.6% of the Packers' salary cap. Now, if Aaron Rodgers were to hang up the cleats and retire, the Packers would then owe him $0 in cash, but would incur $40.3 million in dead cap, so a worse cap hit if he were to retire rather than if he were to just come back and play. And for anyone saying, oh, they need to cut Aaron Rodgers, that is simply just not on the table. Aaron Rodgers has a fully guaranteed option bonus this offseason of $58.3 million, a fully guaranteed base salary of $1.165 million, and another $40.3 million in dead cap from the past 3 seasons of backloading accounting. Meaning cutting Aaron Rodgers would entail $99,778,570 of dead cap. So yeah, that's not happening. As for a trade, it would be the same exact dead cap amount as if Aaron Rodgers were to retire. Like I said, as there is $40.3 million from the past 3 seasons that has been pushed out to future years, there's no getting around that amount of money. So if the Packers were to trade Aaron Rodgers, that's what his dead cap would be, $40.3 million. And during his presser last night, Aaron Rodgers didn't seem like he wanted to go play for another team by any means, but if Jordan Love were to be given the reins at quarterback, he didn't entirely close that door. With Jordan Love entering his last year of his rookie contract and the Packers extremely unlikely to accept his 5th-year option at a whopping $19.5 million, Jordan Love could theoretically force the action by requesting a trade if he's not the starter in 2023. Last night, head coach Matt LaFleur quickly backed Aaron Rodgers on whether or not he wants him to return for 2023. Yeah, in my mind, absolutely, LaFleur said, but I think ultimately he's going to decide that. And last month, general manager Brian Gutekunst said the same thing, that he wanted Aaron Rodgers back in 2023. This is something we'll sit down with him after the season, and it'll be something we do together and move forward that way. With Aaron Rodgers set to make nearly $60 million in 2023, I feel like that would be really hard to walk away from. Last night, Aaron Rodgers also praised the young talent on this team, such as rookie wide receivers Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, who he's grown with over this season. A lot of good young talent on this team, and if certain guys make the jumps from years 1 to 2, this offense could look a lot different. We all saw what happened with Christian Watson to start the year, from dropping a wide open 75-yard touchdown pass to scoring a total of 9 touchdowns. We're a young team. There could be some changes with some of the older guys, and it could be time to step away, but I could take some time and say, hell no, man, I need to get back out there and go on another run, but I'll have to see what it feels like once I'm away from it. Rodgers also mentioned his decision could be influenced by whether the Packers bring back players such as Randall Cobb, David Bakhtiari, Mason Crosby, and Mercedes Lewis. Cobb, Lewis, and Crosby are all impending free agents this offseason. Us Packers fans are surely in for another long few months of this offseason of uncertainty and contemplation. Personally, I do think Aaron Rodgers will return for the 2023 season and make another run at a Super Bowl, given this is the last year of Jordan Love's deal and he is still under contract, and then at that point in 2024, they could finally make that decision. 2022 was a roller coaster of a season with some highs and many lows that ultimately came down to the last game of the season for the Packers to potentially make the playoffs, and the Packers' identity showed true, a losing football team.